Okay. Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Your First Deal podcast. I think that's what we're going to call it at this point. I have my official second guest. I have Mr. Stedman here. Uh, Basically, he is a longtime real estate agent. He actually manages a group of real estate agents. His company is called A-List Real Estate. Is that correct?
A-List Real Estate Group.
A-List Real Estate Group. And I would say that his preferred niche is short-term rentals. Would that be correct?
That's correct.
That would be
That's
correct.
correct.
Okay. So we can start off. We'll just start off about some of your background. So how long have you kind of been in the business?
Oh, man, this story starts way back into 2012.
Okay.
Since 2012, man. First out of college, I was managing my family properties from here, from Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. It's over like 35 properties I was managing. And that's how I officially got my start, was to manage my family's properties. Then ended up getting my own real estate license and, exploring elsewhere.
So who was it mostly in your family? Was it your mom and dad, or is it both, or was it
Man,
like?
to be honest, man, this is kind of like rooted in my blood. I kind of like born in this. My uncles, my aunts,
Okay.
my father, my mom, they're all real estate investors. They're all real estate. My father and my mom were both brokers. So, man, this was kind of scripted for me, if you will.
Okay. Nice. So what does your business kind of look like as of today?
Yeah, man. As of today, we just had a different year. A little bit rough, but we ended out smooth. Most of my business is dealing with investors. We primarily work with both ends of the risk spectrum. We have investors dealing with short-term rentals, and we also have investors that deal with government contracted homes, right? And then anywhere in the middle are primary buyers, so primary buyers and primary sellers. So kind of a mix in between. My responsibility is to handle the investors, but I also have a lot of referral basis. I've been doing this a long time,
Yeah.
so I do a lot of primary contracts as well.
Okay. So what is it like? And before I get into the STR stuff, I want to just ask a few questions. So what is it like to kind of manage and train some agents? And you can also, kind of give tips on like, agents getting into the business. It's kind of hard. It's a hard time, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's managing agents, man. It's an ongoing task. It's an ongoing thing. As the market changes a lot, you have to be able to help these agents change and market their business to be able to conform to the times
Absolutely.
today. So it's a lot of motivating and then showing them the way via, rather it's marketing with social media. I tell a lot of them to look at my social media as, I put a lot of presence on social media myself, and it's worked. It
does
worked. It's been able to afford me a referral business. It's been able to meet new people by way of direct message or somebody referring them to my page. So I showed them, the easy route to use social media as a tool rather than just, a glorified, everything's always good. But we try to tell them, put out the education too. People want to learn. People want to have value when they look you up and they look your name up. So it's a lot of showing them how to use social media as a value tool.
Yeah. I think you've done a great job, because you even do a lot of lives on there.
Yes.
I've seen you talk to investors while you're on there. I've seen a lot of content that you put out. I want to talk about what's it like kind of working with investors, and then we can kind of get into some of the STR stuff, because that's kind of been a hot topic over this past year.
Yep.
So yeah, what's it kind of like working with some of your investors right now?
So we have a lot of new investors that are interested in short-term rentals, aka Airbnb. That's the hot term everybody knows, but they are short-term rentals. And it's a lot of different ways that you can do short-term rentals. So it's a lot of educating. I myself have been a short-term rental investor for 8 years now. So I talk to them from an experience, right?
Yeah.
And the newer investors, we break it down in 3 different categories: the business goal, the ease of business, and future business. No matter what the property is, we grade them by a letter grade scale, A, B, or C. And as long as we have, an average of at least 2 A's with the property, whether we have to rehab it, refinance, then let them put it on short-term rentals. It's a lot of educating and showing them the steps. Because I have the experience, my investors that work with me have the luxury of being hands off.
So you do all the work for them.
Yeah, it's like, I'm the one-stop shop. I have a proven system over time that's worked. So I showed them the system. I let them be as involved as they want to, but for the most part, we just, they tell us their target marks, what they want, and we put it in our system, and we just, we take off. I'm pretty self-sufficient. I really don't need anything else outside of my circle since I've been doing this a while. So it's pretty easy to work with me, if you will.
So if I was like, let's just say, for instance, I was a client, right? Like, let's say I have a decent down payment, right? I'm in the Houston area. I want to get a short-term rental. So if I call you up, and what does that consultation look like? And then, is there a specific area that you prefer I look for? Or like?
So the way I based on me, giving them, areas to invest in Houston. Houston's a very friendly city for short-term rentals.
It is. Yeah.
And that goes all the way back because of zoning. We really don't have a lot of zoning inside the city. So you really can't even, the cities that zone are not as Airbnb friendly or short-term rental friendly. Houston is wide open, right? So if you're a first timer in the short-term rental realm, my whole thing is to get you to understand that one property is not going to be enough. This is a scaling business.
I agree.
Right?
You're
not just going to hit a home run with one property, right? So my mind frame is to get you to understand that we need to get multiple units. So I want you to get comfortable with me first. I got to prove myself to you, right? I still, I have to, prove my service. So I want you to be comfortable as terms of risk getting into the business. So I understand where we need to meet at. If it's a multifamily situation, I might tell you, hey, let's do one side Airbnb, the other side we're going to have a government contract. That way I know that you got guaranteed income. You're at ease. Once that project is done, now you're going to feel a lot more free to do the more risk. We'll say, hey, let's go down to Galveston and get a rehab.
I love this government contract.
That's a whole nother. That's a
we
whole
can talk
nother.
about that for. Okay, I want to briefly touch on that for just 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, so how does that kind of work? Do you just have like a go-to person in that space that you're like, hey, you call them up, hey, I have a property ready. I know you guys are looking for tenants, and you're kind of like the middleman, and you get them in there. How does that kind of work?
Yeah, depending on which side I'm working with, whether I'm working with a landlord that already has a property and looking for tenants, or I'm even servicing the tenants to find these landlords. Right, most of my investors are the landlords, so
that is true. Yeah.
I just mend the relationship. But yeah, these government contracts are on housing authorities, right? So in Houston, we have Harris County Housing Authority, Houston Housing Authority, we have NezQuest, we have Fort Bend Housing Authority. All these different housing authorities have voucher members, aka Section 8 tenants, right? And they have their own websites, their own marketing platform where you post the property and then you acquire the tenants. We interview them, we check their voucher, their paperwork, make sure it aligns with the mortgage and the cash flow, which is most important, right? But then we interview them and we present our applications to our landlords.
So also with the STR, with the cash flow, so I want to talk about some of the difficulties because it sounds beautiful, but let's talk about some of, everything's not beautiful in real estate, especially with the rates being so high. So what are some of the difficulties you have with some of the investors, and do you find it difficult for them to cash flow as much these days? What's that look like?
So the cash flow for the short-term rentals, we kind of base it off the market. We use two different tools, Rabu.com and AirDNA, to get a projected cash flow return based on the mortgage that they're going to have. This year, we've done a different experience with our short-term rentals. For example, I just helped a pastor out close to the Woodlands get a 5-bedroom property and put it on short-term rentals. Instead of putting the entire property on Airbnb or these other surface sites, we did each room as its own entity, right? So each room had a microwave, refrigerator, bed. It was pretty much self-sufficient. Had a lock. We labeled it Unit A, Unit B, Unit C, Unit B, and surprisingly enough, it took off like wildfires. So he was getting 4 months bookings on each room, or 2 months bookings, longer bookings per rooms. Therefore, his cash flow is pretty good.
I've never heard. Okay, that reminds me of a similar company. Have you ever heard of this company called Pad Split?
Yes.
That's kind of
like Pad Split.
It's kind of like Pad Split, but just at a better level.
So
Next
we just
level,
basically turning a home into a boutique hotel.
yeah, exactly.
You know, the
exactly.
kitchen, the living room, all the common areas is used to the public, it's open to the public. But each room is, you know, secured by whoever's renting it. You know.
And I think if most people don't know, have you ever had a pad split client yet?
No, I haven't. No.
If most people don't know, I don't know if people don't know what pad split is, but it's basically like where they come in and add additional rooms to your house and then rent out each room long term. It's a different type of concept, but it's kind of new.
Yes.
And it basically helps for people that want to rent by the week, so they can pay like $100 a week to rent a room, right? It's just, and it helps for some of the, you know, low income housing and things of that nature. But
yeah, man, it's all about exposure and management. The downfall I see here in Houston, I've been doing this 8 years, it's the management, man.
Yeah.
This is a hospitality business first. People gotta understand that. So when you're dealing with a hospitality business, you think about service, grade A service, customer service, any type of reviews, you want it to be a 5-star review. So you have to keep that in mind first. I understand we're managing a business, but hospitality also has to be involved in that in order for them to have repeat guests, a plethora of 5-star reviews, because that's the first thing people look at. We've all booked on Airbnb.
They first look at the reviews.
You click on the profile, the pictures look cool. All right, cool. Let me scroll down to see what the reviews are saying, right? So if you don't have good reviews, it's almost like a credit score. If I say, you know, it's like a glorified credit score. If your reviews if you ain't averaging 4.8 and up, you know, you lose that upper niche clientele, the quality clients.
And you don't get as much visibility either. Like
you don't get a lot of visibility.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So
the preferred clients have the highest
reviews.
Reviews. Yeah.
That's what it is, man. So going back to the strategies. So we also want to have exposure, right? So just like example of that 5-bedroom house, he also has the property listed that could be rented, you know, the entire property. But it just gives it exposure, right? So it gives it more profiles. So instead of just having 5 profiles, he has 6 profiles on the market, right? You have 6 different opportunities to receive an income or inquiry, right? So you do the same thing, and we tell our clients that, especially this year, it's all about the exposure and having several profiles to be able to be rented.
And to piggyback off of that initial statement, you were talking about customer service. What were some of the issues that some of your investors see, or the mistakes they met with customer service? Was it just like them not getting the cleaners out there? Or was it them, you know, not having the appropriate instructions to get in the place? Like, what are some of those things?
Logistics and cleaning.
Yeah.
Oh man, those are the top 2 things. Well, logistics, your client should be able to pull up, already have the instructions prior, right?
Absolutely.
Very clear that when they get out their car, they feel confident going to that door, pressing the numbers, and it's just going to open. Because you got about 10 seconds to, you know, to win them over.
Yep.
All right. Now when they get in, they want to see the cleanliness, right? So you have to have a quality control level of checking these units prior to bookings arriving. Your logistics has to be sound, right? The parking, where not to park, signage needs to be up. I mean, like I said, these homes are turning into boutique hotels. So whatever the hotels are doing,
you need to be doing that.
You need to be doing that. That's how I
I 100% agree with that. That's interesting.
Yep.
Just, you know, what's kind of have you seen clients, like, what's the most amount of rental properties you've seen a client own?
Man, I got one big client. He has over 63 short-term rentals in about 6 states.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I've seen you, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I've seen you had situations where you've had like a client and they're sold one of their properties to another client of yours.
Yes.
so
keep it all in the circle, man.
Because you post a lot of that on social media, like your turnkey Airbnb. So explain some of those situations.
Oh man, yeah, the turnkeys. Whew, those are great. So the turnkeys is pretty much like, you're getting everything packaged already, ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, you really don't have any stage up time. You're cutting a lot of time off, and you're buying a product that's already proven and finished.
Yeah.
right? So some of my clients have had short-term rentals with me for 5+ years, and they're ready to liquefy their asset to get multifamily. We're just going to double up from there. So this unit is already staged, it's already proven, it has the numbers. With the management, I also have an internal team that manage. That's another thing. That's the reason why my clients are hands off. We have our management system already in place. We deliver the reports. We deliver what the cash flow is over 3 years, and plus.
So they're reporting everything.
So
wow,
everything
that's
is.
impressive.
So when you make a decision to buy something that's already prepackaged, ready to go, the numbers are there. It's proven itself. You feel pretty comfortable with that purchase. So that's been a great thing for my buyers buying into turnkey units, and they just buying and pressing green light. A lot of times, as soon as we close, they already have bookings on the schedule, right? And they're inheriting the bookings too.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
So
I
it's
didn't
kind of
think
like
about
you're
that.
coming into cash flow, right? And then you put a value on the furnishing, the staging up, and things like that as well. And it's a both win-win situation for my clients.
And just a basic question. So when they're acquiring these, are a lot of your investors acquiring these like as their selves or through an entity? So like if I'm just asking for the user. So if I'm on Airbnb, does it say that specific person, or does it say property management company or whatever? Like,
So
how does that work?
I have most of them put it to LLC entity, but I do have some clients that prefer to have themselves involved personally and leave a personal touch on it.
Okay.
So some of my clients that are in the more rural areas or on the island, they might want their personal touch in the property. They might even leave a letter with a picture of them and their family to let them know, like, hey, this is a family business. I know you're at a short-term rental, but this is also a family business. And if you guys need anything, we're here to help. Again, that's servicing the hospitality aspect of this business. And they have tremendous reviews. So if you see that, it kind of puts you in a different mind frame with some of the guests that we see. They feel a little bit more, like they know the person that owns this home. It's not just a cold business.
Yeah, exactly.
See what I'm saying? You're giving a personal touch to it. So again, man, it's really all about strategy and what's comfortable for you. That's why I love short-term rentals, because you can carve it out however you want. You know what I mean? Just as long as you are hitting those points of hospitality and having a lot of exposure and hitting those 2 points, logistics and cleanliness, you should do well.
Okay, that was a lot of information. I appreciate it. So I'm just gonna ask a few more questions, and then we can wrap up.
Sure.
I know you got places to be, but just a personal question, and then I'll ask you about like what agents can do.
Okay.
What is I like to ask agents this question? What is your highest transaction personally? Like, did you do like have you done like a big multifamily, a large house? Like, what was your biggest transaction?
Business, the biggest one is 1.7 million. This was a church purchase, acquisition that I was a part of, and it also had land in the back of it with the property. So that was my biggest one. That was back in 2018, 2017, around there.
I bet you were happy when that hit.
Oh boy, oh boy. It was definitely a great day. I was pretty happy, but just like, with real estate, your business doesn't end on one transaction.
Absolutely. You got to keep going.
My whole thing was, all right, how do I grow from here? Okay, it's good that, I got the big transaction, out the way, but how do I continue this? How do I grow from there? What are the benefits? Do I just get to post it on social media and be glorified? No, it's like, how do I repeat this,
Yes.
right? It's always been in my vision to sell $1 million properties. I knew it was going to happen, but my biggest concern was, all right, what's next?
What's next? And we can piggyback on this because this is the last question I was going to ask. Just like, you've had a lot of success. You've seen ups and downs. You've done a lot of transactions.
Yeah.
There's nothing literally you have not seen. So if you were an agent getting into this game, what is some of the advice, you could give them that they could learn from you, from your experience?
You got to have confidence in this game. You're in sales, right? Understand that you're in sales. This is a business where you constantly have to be moving. You constantly have to be learning, but also you need to kind of grab a mentor along the way. I had plenty of mentors that poured into me, and thus this was what's made me who I am today. So as long as you have your vision in mind, your why, and you have good mentorship, and you have a really good motor about yourself, there's nothing that you can't do. So this is another avenue if you want to be a real estate aging a top producer. These are things you got to think about. And success is, inevitable.
I appreciate it, man. You gave a lot of information. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. So tell the people how they can follow you.
Oh man, you can follow me via Steady Moves, SteadyMoves. If you just put that in your search, all my social media will pull up, and you pick your choice.
All right. So thank you guys. You guys can follow me at Brian K Miller 2 on Instagram. I look forward to our second episode, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate it.
Thank you.